we're back and we're covering still some more special rules and things that make Autumn for Barbarossa different than just your standard rule set for the Standard Combat series. And this will kind of what sets it apart from your standard SCS rules. One of them is garrison units. So what we have here is another little example of some Soviet units, the 4th and the 127th, near the village of Gorky on railroad tracks. So garrison units are basically a way to break down and leave some speed bumps behind in order to slow an advance or maybe preserve units. Maybe you don't want to get surrounded and you want to cause problems for your opponent. So garrison units, each side is going to have 10 garrison counters, and what they do is they look like these right here. You'll notice they have that, they actually have garrison written on them, right? And garrison units are kind of, they make good speed bumps because I guess, how can you put it? They can't move or attack, but they do have a 2 defense, and also they're listed with 2 steps. So it is a good way to kind of drop back and annoy your opponent. And the interesting way to create a garrison is you have to eliminate a step of a non-garrison unit in the desired hex. And you can actually do this anywhere during your movement if you want, and then you can keep going afterwards. So garrisons can't move or attack, like I already said, and destroyed garrison units are dumped back into the available garrison pool. And one thing to note is, say your unit, if you have a DG result on this unit and you create a garrison, that garrison also gets the DG result. So, for example, if the 4th Infantry Division here, they don't want to give up Gorky easy to the Axis player. So, for example, this unit is going to move. He's going to create a garrison here, right? And he's going to lose a step to create the garrison unit. Okay, so you'd put that in there like that, and this unit's going to lose a step, and then you can have him go ahead and move out and leave this unit behind, and then they want to maybe create a screen, so the 4th is going to do the same thing. He's going to end up losing a step, and he's going to create a garrison unit, and then he's going to go ahead and back out, and they still have a respectable strength, right? They're not pushovers, and these are going to kind of be like, well, I want to hold, say it's like a victory point location or something like that, leave them behind in the victory point location if it's like a 1, and maybe you don't want to deal with having to, you don't care, it's like, oh, 1 point, I can afford to lose that. And that's pretty much how they work. And if you eliminate yourself, say I created another one here, right, and I eliminated that unit. Oops. I don't think I pulled out enough garrisons there. In my handy bag here. I do have them separated. Believe it or not, I was actually organized here. If you eliminate, say you move back and then you create another one here, and this unit eliminates itself, if a unit gives up its last step in the process, it goes back in the player's rebuild cup. And that kind of ties into replacements and how that works. So that's really how garrisons work. It's a neat little touch. I don't know if that's present in some other games. Let me take a look at the Rostov special rules. Let's see if Rostov has something like that. Unit reconstruction. Initiative. Yeah, I don't see anything like that in Rostov 41. So it's interesting how different these games can be sometime. I don't see anything like that in here for Rostov. Yeah, no mention of garrison units. So that's another factor that it looks like Autumn is different than some of its brother and sister games here. Now you might be wondering about replacements, and as these videos get, you know, shorter and shorter, I can kind of cover some of these because we're really pretty much done with the special rules in Autumn for Barbarossa and the things that make it different. So other than going over the basic rules for the standard combat series, but some other people already have videos up for that. If you want, let me know in the comments if you want me to go over some of the rules for the standard combat series, like a tutorial, but I don't think it's needed. It's pretty basic stuff. Okay, probably one of the interesting things is the idea of a rebuild cup, right? So when all units that are destroyed in play, when a unit's destroyed in play, you want to put it in a cup by the side of the that you might have at your side, right? So if a unit gets destroyed, put it in a cup, right? It's called the rebuild cup, or as I like to call it, the dead cup. And that circles on a thing called replacements in this game. And if you look at the order of arrival or the turn record chart, it's going to tell you how many replacement points you get. And this is not, I don't think this is present. Let me see if Rostov has this rule. This might be another one where they differ. Let's take a look here. Well, Rostov 41 has something called unit reconstruction, where a non-motorized infantry unit is eliminated. Any unit with the infantry cross in its box and an MA of 5 roll a die. So that is interesting. So that, again, that's different in Rostov 41 than it is in Autumn for Barbarossa. Another difference between the two games. So yeah, you know, just a heads up, you might have to learn some different things for each game. So there's a thing called, you know, your dead pile, right? And if you look on the turn record track, you will see that the replacements, as true for the war, they never start out great for the German player. Here's 1, 1, and for the Soviets, it's like 3, 3, 3, you know, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 3, 3, 3, 1. So it's the Soviet player is going to be constantly being able to replace these losses, right? So we had a garrison created, and let's say we have this here. And if you look at the turn record track, say turn, wow, the Soviets never just get 1. Let's pretend that on a random turn they get 1 replacement. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to apply replacements by randomly drawing the needed number of units out of that cup. So you don't know what you're going to get. You can't just reach in and be like, oh, I'm going to put this bad boy out. So you'll say they get 1. You draw from the cup, and a replacement point will let you do a couple of things. If you have a unit that's wounded, you can use a replacement point to flip it back over to full strength. So they get, you know, they get put back to full strength, and that would be like 1 point. Or you could, like, you don't have to use it to do that. You could leave him there, and you could draw from the cup and say you got this guy. You can bring him in next to any in-play, you know, unit on the board, as long as this unit didn't use, I think they call it, how do they phrase that? Let's see. Let me just make sure I read this right. A hex containing or adjacent to any friendly unit in play, provided they're in supply and not in an enemy ZOC. And you can't chain replacements. Like you can't, I'm going to use a replacement point and make him go up, and then bring in a new unit next to him. That's illegal. You could leave this guy like that, and then you could draw out the cup for your, say you had 2, or say, you know, you had that 1, you could just bring him right back in right there. But not if they're in an enemy enemy ZOC and they have to be able to trace supply. So you could see where the Russians will start getting a lot of manpower reserves, and the Germans are going to be constantly like, oh, I only get one. So you got to really think there. And that's another difference here between Autumn for Barbarossa and Rostov 41. It's handled a little bit differently. So again, this replacement thing not even present in some of the other games. I find that kind of interesting. And it's also neat that it's random, which helps with the solitaire play because you just never know what you're going to be able to do, right? You may see the units on the board, but you know, if you go to replace something, it may not pan out quite right. So replacements in the book right there. Again, something different. And that pretty much covers the differences between like Autumn for Barbarossa and some of the other games in the series. There's not too many other special rules for me to make a video about. The replacement thing is interesting. So is making the garrison. I found that kind of fascinating. One thing about the replacements too is if the number of replacements is greater than the number of dead units in the cup and there's no reduced units in play, the excess can be saved for a future turn. The player cannot choose to save replacements. If they can be used, they must be used. So that's another interesting thing. So, you know, the German player has low replacements. He suffers the Hitler withdrawal rule. It's going to be tough. I think the Germans have, in this game, need to strike and strike fast. Victory is you total the number of victory points the Soviet player controls at the end of play, control being defined as the last to enter or move through the hex. And so the German player must get those control points. The Soviet player can try to, you know, prevent the capture of cities, but you want to fall. You want to take enough to fall somewhere right down here. And that's pretty much it. You know, it's Autumn for Barbarossa is not too complex, but there's enough to make it different. There's a few tweaks. It's almost like they were like practicing rules for other games or something with these. So I found that kind of neat. And that's about it. So that's garrison units and replacements. Like I said, so probably no full SCS tutorial from me unless you guys want one. There's a lot out there already. So, but that's about it for this video. So I'm going to get this one up and eventually I'm going to start playing this one. And then we'll see how it goes. And then I'm going to be doing a dual video series coming up. One's going to be Great Battles of the American Revolution. So stay tuned for that. I've always found that series pretty fascinating with the tactics cards and things like that. So if you look at my playlist, there was a unboxing of the Battle for Rhode Island that I P500. So just check that video out. And I've redone some of my playlists to be more organized, so you guys can find the videos easier. And that's about it for the HUD. I'll be checking out, and I will talk to you later.